Good evening. Welcome to Fate Mag Radio, the online voice of Fate Magazine, and I am Kat Hobson, your host. I'm so glad you're here because you know what? We are almost to Christmas, and I am so blessed beyond belief. I am welcoming someone tonight who is a dear friend, and we don't hunt him or anything, but he's still a fun guy. I'm just kidding. Rick McCollum is probably my best guy friend. He is someone that my husband trusts to take me out of the country and bring me back, which is saying something. He is one of the best ghost hunters I've ever worked with. He is one of the best authors also. He's written two books about his paranormal experiences over his life. And he's got a couple of others that are going to be coming this way, and they're a little bit more diverse. It's going to be fun to read them. He is the founder of Hollywood Ghost Hunters. He has been in, I think, 72 films. We're going to get him to verify that. I may be low on that number. He is a fantastic stuntman. And I think that he is also one of the nicest humans I know. So let's bring on Rick McCollum. Hello there.
Wait a minute, you said nicest humans you know? Are you talking about me?
Well, I mean, you hide it so well. I have to tell people.
Oh, by the way, did you see that name pop up there, Lorraine
I did see
Dorsey?
that name pop right up
See,
there.
now I may be your watchdog while you're on overseas, but she's your backup.
She is always my backup, and I'm hers too. So, in fact, we are going to be roaring around together on the Gulf Coast in less than a month.
Oh, geez.
I know. You may need to help David with bail. I'm just kidding. We're going to have so much fun. And, you know, she is somebody that I've known. Have I known her? I haven't known her longer than you, but it's close. It's close. Those friendships are about the same length. And it's so cool because the connection in both was so immediate. And now y'all are that kind of friend too. So it's just such a nice friend group that we have. We've got Mikey who is working, every hour God sends. So he's not really, you know, able to come on right now, but it's so much fun when we all get together.
That is true. That's absolutely true. Rick's Scotland tour was amazing.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. That was because, we had the most horrible tour the first time, and we just kind of came together, and you coordinated primarily with, Lynn and Gary with the History and Hauntings tour, and then obviously Scottish Paranormal. And I say obviously, but they're kind of famous now, so it's tough to get with them. And you always make that happen, and they're the most nice people, also.
And
And then Inverness Paranormal, who were brilliant. Everybody that you knew absolutely were fantastic.
actually,
Lori corrected me on our length of friendship.
we've
So
been friends longer than 4 years.
we have been friends a lot longer than 4 years.
Yes.
But
And it's not Inverness Paranormal, it's Highland Paranormal.
Highland Paranormal out of Inverness. I'm sorry. Thank
And
you for
and they
fixing
are
that.
actually a TAPS group.
They are.
Yeah. And who else is
Hi, Tom.
hi Tom? Who else is that was there? Oh, and don't forget J. Craig Miller.
J. Craig Miller has my heart. I am not going to lie. He is one of the nicest humans. Everybody there that we interacted with are. I mean, there's such a stellar group of individuals, and there's not anyone that wasn't beyond kind to us. And, our friends from Scottish Paranormal knew what that first trip was like because Gregor was a participant and was treated poorly in that. And so it was almost like everybody pulled out the stops to make sure that we had just the very best time. There were nights, Rick, that I went to bed that I wasn't sure where I was. So,
I was like that too.
we went to so many locations, and Lynn and Gary night of the History and Haunted tours they brought in family members to cart us around.
Yeah,
They was
Alistair, that was cool.
my friend. I liked him so much. And that was Lynn's dad. I mean, she
Yeah,
brought her dad. So that was really fun.
yeah, it was quite a trip. There's no
Yes.
doubt about that. Uh, Trying to see now. You woke up in strange places. I woke up in a suitcase. So
You did wake up in a secret that you couldn't get out of. So,
I,
that
I,
was just like, oh my gosh, Rick got sick while we were there. So
I was kind of hoping that I had that would be the one time that I would want to have Lori's big red refrigerator
the
suitcase. There'd be more,
refrigerator.
yeah, more room in there.
Yeah.
So, but
That's
you know
just
what?
funny.
I really look forward to talking today because we had some of the most amazing things happen on that tour. I mean,
We did. And
and as they say, no harm, no foul, no blood, no ambulance. We all made it
no
back.
ambulances.
We all
So
made it back.
a big plus.
Of course, and you guys, you and Lori's thing, sometimes just being able to get out of the airport without injury is.
Now we were not injured.
I know
That
that's what I said.
was no
Being able to get out
ambulance.
without injury, that's pretty good.
That was no injuries. Yes. I took her down at the Atlanta airport, guys, just so you know. But I literally took her to the ground. It was so awful. It was embarrassing, but it was funny
Cat
because we weren't hurt.
now for Lori.
Yeah. Well, we were next. What are the odds of being gate to gate? We were next. I was going straight into Edinburgh through Amsterdam. She was going through JFK out of Atlanta. And we were right next to each other. So that was worthy of excitement. And I hadn't seen her in forever.
And you gave her the flying El Squasho.
I did. So it was actually just a really good hug, but it was unexpected.
Well,
Anybody who knows me knows that's coming.
Most hugs are vertical.
Well, yes.
You went for the horizontal hug.
Well, we started vertical. So, but I was enthusiastic. What can I say? But you know what? That enthusiasm is what makes you have fun when we're together.
Yeah, no, we have fun when we're out.
We do. So, and I do want people to know that you are missing the Packers game for us. So,
and I am the number one Packer fan in the history of the world.
You are.
You can probably, if you just sit there quietly during a game, no matter where you are, and you hear swear words flying through the universe, it's me.
It is you.
It's me.
Well, I was so taken aback because I love the Packers. I always have. Don't know why. They're not my team, like from my region or anything, but I like them. They got attitude. So when I like the Bears too, same reason. But oh hush. Neither one of them are, well, the Bears certainly aren't. But it was the dance. It was the dance. That's why the Bears. But I am so surprised where your mother loved them. And you have a gift from her too, relevant to them. So
the Bears?
No, the Packers.
Oh yeah, that wasn't from my mom. That was from my godmother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's actually right there. You can't see it, but it's right up there on my wall, and it's Packer certificate number 41.
Yeah.
So yes, that's way to go, godmother. Aunt
Way
Toots.
to go.
Yeah. Somebody asked me one time. They said, "You've got kind of a, you look like you're always ready when somebody's coming up to give you the business." And I said, "Well, that's to be expected." They said, "How?" I said, "I grew up on the south side of Chicago and I was a Packer fan."
That'll do it every time.
I had no shortage of opponents.
You still don't. So, yeah.
That's true. Yeah. We go visit Chicago, have people take a swing at me,
Well,
Yeah.
old times.
Yeah. Fortunately, every once in a while, I was smart enough to duck.
Well, hence the stuntman business, right? If you're going to get hit, you might as well get paid.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, you know how I went into the stuntman business?
Well,
I actually,
we have talked around it, but you've never actually explained it.
well, I actually graduated from college with a degree in criminal justice.
Yeah.
And one of the things I had to do my senior year was do an internship. Well, when I got over to Maywood, which is like the stolen car capital of the world, and it really is. All kinds of cars get stolen there because they have big venues like horse tracks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, they put me in with the detective squad. So me and a detective were out for like a month going around. And after I got done with that, I thought, wow, these are some of the most rotten human beings in the world I'm meeting on every single day. Late at night, you're not making very much money. They're shooting real bullets at you. And I thought, I don't want to do this. What else can I do? And I went, well, wait a minute. There's another job where they fire fake bullets at you.
Yes.
You get to hang around with beautiful people. They pay you pretty good. And yeah, I'm going to go do that.
I think you made the right choice.
So, yeah.
And I'm not dissing because I am so in awe of police officers, especially street beat cops, because that is so hazardous. It's so dangerous. And they get up and they go and do it every day. But I think that you definitely made the choice for you.
Yeah, but then I ended up with this friend, Kane Hodder, the guy who plays Jason. He's been my friend now for going on 40 years. And
what
actually,
were both of you thinking?
Well, he and I started the Hollywood Ghost Hunters together in Mansfield, Ohio, at the prison. But yeah, he's a different sort of individual.
He is different.
People ask me, what's he like? I said, well, you know how he's a killer and all that stuff in the shows and he's crazy and all this stuff. And they said, yeah. And I said, oh, he's worse in person.
Oh my gosh. You're so bad.
He's worse in person. I can say that because he and I are a lot alike.
You are a lot alike. Mainly in your code of honoring your ethics, though.
Shh, don't let anybody know that. I'll try and borrow money from me.
It's one of my favorite things. It's the reason my husband trusts you to take me out of the country. Well, so,
He knows that if there's problems, the sword will come out.
He does.
That's okay. I did see you holding your own quite easily one time over there, so I wasn't too worried about that.
Yeah. I do not. If somebody is dishonest, disreputable, and tries to screw me over, I do not cope well with that. Actually, I do cope well with it, but it's not good for them.
Yeah, especially when they lipped off to you. I was like, oh boy. This is not good. And then husband lipped off to me, and I was like, I really don't want to do this, so go away now.
And then stomped her foot at me, like she was gonna go.
Yeah. Well, she's nuts.
She's trash. She is trash. So I'm just very glad that Lori said the hod emerged. The hod did emerge, but she was reined in. I did good.
By the way, just in case everybody doesn't know what the HOD means, stands for the Harbinger of Doom.
Now, I am so sweet and so Southern, and nobody's going to believe that. Did you hear the Southern that?
I believe it. I've been there when the HOD was starting to appear, so.
Well, there was a necessity.
Well, somebody comes up and gets in your face, you're allowed to tell them you don't like that.
And stomps at me like they're going to come at me. No. I mean, just trash. But sometimes you have to take out the trash. So I didn't have to.
What show was that where the guy always said, you are 10 seconds away from making the worst decision of your life? It's one of the movie lines. I can't remember which one it was.
It's a good line.
Yeah.
But, you had somebody step up in your bubble then too. So
I banished him politely.
Yeah.
That nice attempt. Move along. Go to your room now.
But, in retrospect, how we coped with that situation is how our group that travels together now came together as cohesive as we are. I
Yeah.
mean, because we were put in very difficult, uncomfortable places. For Lori and I, it was a dangerous place. And we came through that. And we
Yeah.
came through that as a unit of friends. And that includes the Bloomkeys. Jay was right there with you.
Well,
And
that's why I had Rick's Scottish Invitational Ghost Hunting Tour.
yes.
Because I was just trying to make up for what you guys didn't get to see. So that's why there was 5 of us, and I asked the other 4, where do you really want to go?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And fortunately, I was able to make that happen just through knowing the right people to ask. And then we got a whole bunch of stuff we hadn't anticipated. Which
Oh
was
my
really
gosh,
cool.
we got so much stuff.
So that was pretty cool. And by the way, it is not Castle Menzies. I don't care what they say. It's Castle Menzies.
I actually took a picture of the Mingus Falls
Yeah.
in Cherokee National Forest, and I'm going to send that to our friends so that they will see how you actually spell Mingus.
Yeah, it's like it's Z-I-E-S. That's not Gus. Okay, I don't care if you're Scottish or not.
You could be
Menzies.
Yugoslavian, and that's not Gus. So
yeah, I don't care what language it is. It's still Menzies.
Well, you know what? I don't care because we got to go, and that was so astounding.
Well, there is a lot of weird things. Lori Dorsey got called a murderer. You got shot in Culloden.
If I had known, I would not have put Culloden on my list. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sitting there looking at you, and you're holding your stomach, and you're going, ah! I was like, what? Something hit me. And like, holy cripes, here we go again.
Well, but that's never happened until that trip.
Well, it happened to you twice.
It did happen to me twice. But I mean, seriously, that was not my normal experience at all.
No, it was very out of touch.
Yeah.
Out of character, let's say.
Yeah.
And by the way, in your intro, you said 72. The last time I counted out the amount of movies I was in was 75.
Oh, thank you.
If you count if you count a lot of the movies that haven't even come in, it's probably up to about 90.
Wow.
So there's a bunch.
Tom McNicholas, who is one of the nicest, most mellow people I know, understands exactly how we felt. So
we need to kill somebody. Get Rick. Oh boy.
That's no.
Well, you want to know something that goes on my resume? I can't dance at all, and I can't sing at all, and I've done both of them in the movies.
And you got killed for it.
I most certainly did.
You died.
And deservedly so.
Well, I have to say, I've never seen you do either.
Count your blessings.
Just about anything that you do pretty okay. So,
yeah, but it's dancing and singing are not them.
Okay.
I actually had the girl cut my head off and cut my heart out after I was singing in the bus, and she had me have the truck crash. So,
what else?
I didn't write it.
I think that I've seen one of your movies that you were not even a dominant character in, because I don't do horror. And it's so funny because we are besties and that's what you do. But I couldn't watch. I mean, I tried to watch some of the others and I just don't like that.
You know what's really strange about that? I don't like horror movies either.
Yeah.
I don't watch them. The only Friday the 13th movie I watched was the first one Kane did because he was my friend.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't like horror movies myself. I don't like
Well,
seeing people get hurt.
exactly. I'm too much of an empath, and it just slays me.
I mean,
And you
these
are
things
too.
where people are getting chainsawed, and well, specifically me. I have the worst chainsaw death in movie history. You realize that?
I do.
Me and Colton.
I I saw the picture. I didn't see the video.
Oh, there's a lot of screaming going on.
Okay. I
Yeah,
mean, right up through the yin yang, that would
yeah,
definitely do it.
yeah. Well, it's the weirdest part about that whole thing. In this movie Hatchet 2, I get me and there's another guy hiding behind me, and here comes Kane with this 8-foot chainsaw, and he comes in. I'm shooting him, and it's not doing anything. Colton is scared. He's the comic element to the show, and he's shooting, the ceiling and the ground, and he's shooting everywhere but Kane. And my shotgun jams, and I'm going like this, and he takes the chainsaw, runs it between my legs. Colton is hiding behind me, so it goes between his legs. And Kane lifts us up in the air on the chainsaw, and we get chainsawed in half. Now, Adam Green, the director, had a little surprise for little Ricky here.
Oh
When I
dear.
went to the premiere down in Hollywood, we were at the
Yeah.
Egyptian Theater, and this place was packed, right? I went up and I was sitting up in the matinee area, the balcony, and everybody else, all the stars and stuff were downstairs, and I'm hiding upstairs. And I'm watching, and here it comes, and I did not realize, pardon my French to all these people, but I don't offend anybody, that he put in something later on in special effects, where as he's chainsawing up, my balls fall down and land on the ground. Now, I didn't even know this, and I'm watching, and you see it come down, and they're going doing, and they drop a little farther. Everybody in the place is screaming, and the farther they go down, the louder they scream.
Oh my
And finally,
gosh.
finally they land on the ground, and I look around, and everybody in the theater is going staring at me, and I'm like, well, at least I got one thing to be famous for. But the weirdest part was Kane was in another city, and they were just finishing up. I don't know if it was Hatchet 2 or the start of Hatchet 3. And there's a scene in there because everything, the Hatchet movies are brilliant with Adam Green. And what he does is there's 4 of them. They pick up right where the last one left off. I mean, right now, I don't mean they go back and say, here it was, this happened. You're
Oh,
right
okay.
back to where it ended. And what happened was he's fighting with Danielle Harris, who actually is also another member of my group. And she's only like that big, and she's ferocious. But she's fighting with Kane, and he's got her up, and he's choking her and stuff. And she kicks him in the chest backwards, and he goes, and he falls over straight and lands on the chainsaw, right? And gets chainsawed in half, right? Well, Kane wasn't around, so guess who got chainsawed in half again?
Again.
I got chainsawed in 2 back-to-back movies. Tell me there's anybody else in history that happened to.
I can't think that there would possibly be.
Kane and I were arguing one day, and we're driving along, and he says, I'm the best horror stuntman, there is. I said, no, you're not, I am. And he goes like this, he goes, how can you say that? I said, okay, let's look at it this way. Who did you double? He goes, blah, 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 blah. I said, well, who else, who's the big names in that? He goes, well, I am. And I said, yeah. Who doubles you? And he goes, shut up.
Shut up.
Shut up.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I pulled his own name out into the pile, and he had nothing he could say after that.
That's just hilarious. Well, it's absolutely going to be a stopper. I mean,
Yeah.
how's he going to argue that?
Yeah, it's like, hey.
Not.
Yeah.
So, is Dead Alive your movie?
No. I wasn't in that one.
All right.
Was it all 4 of the Hatchet movies? I was in a lot of movies.
You're in a lot of movies because you're, what is that, IMDb?
Yeah. Well, there's like 20 or so on the IMDb page that are missing. And that's a lot of times because you do the movie and it never comes out.
Oh, okay.
So, that's why sometimes I'll say I've done 75, 80 movies and I'm not sure because I know there's a whole bunch of them that didn't come out.
Right.
Not my fault.
So does that happen frequently? Like, do they just lose their funding or what causes that?
Well, they lose their funding. They don't find distributors. I mean, it's just, it's a business. And sometimes that happens, you
Okay.
know. So, what do you know?
I just didn't know that. I
Yeah.
thought if they were actually in production, they were going to go.
Well, some of them lose their funding in the middle of the movie. But I still got the check, so I still did the movie.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I think that that's such an interesting career or such an interesting field to have your career in because so few people that attempt it really hit the limelight.
Well, I never
And
much hit the limelight because I was always doubling somebody. I can't say that because here's an interesting thing about my group, because it's usually considered to be me, Kane, and RA,
mhm,
right? They always talk about, well, Kane plays Jason in the Friday the 13th, and he
mhm,
plays Victor Crowley in the Hatchet movies, and he's done every serial killer known to man he played.
yeah,
R.A. Mihailoff played Leatherface, and then I was the title character in a movie called Dark Wolf.
yeah.
Now, where in the world can you find a group that the top three people in the thing all played the title character of a movie?
That would
You
be it.
can't. You can't.
That would be the one.
So that's pretty fun. But they tried to kill me on Dark Wolf. I mean, you know how you can tell when you're going to do something that's really, really going to mess you up is when all the actors and the crew come out to watch. And I was doing a scene where I was in the werewolf suit and I had to jump on the hood of a car that took off going like 20 miles an hour backwards, which is very fast when you're standing on the hood in a werewolf suit. And we had these barrels, 55-gallon drums that were 2 across and 2 high, right? So this was a pretty good steel wall up there.
Yeah.
And as my friend is driving back like this, just as he gets there, he snaps the wheel. And you remember the old thing when you were on skates and you snap somebody?
The wheel.
He snapped me off the hood of the car head first into these barrels, and I went flying in there. And it was an interesting ride, let's put it that way. But what was funny is when I come walking out, one of the girls, one of the lead actresses, Andrea Bogart, comes running up to me. She goes, "Rick, this looks dangerous. You going to get hurt?" And I went, "Yeah." She goes, "How bad?" She goes, "How bad?" I said, "Huh." I turned around and hopped up on the car and looked at it. I turned around and looked at it. I said, "Let you know in a minute."
Your personality is
that one
just
just knocked the living hell out of me. I got to tell you, I was laying there on the ground. I thought I was on Mars. It was like,
well, I mean, holy cats. Of course you did.
well, what was funny is that I'm laying on the ground and it stunned me because I went head first into these steel barrels. And the problem was everybody's gone bowling. You know how the pins go flying? That's what happened with these barrels. And these barrels were coming at me, boom, bam, boom, hit me in the
Oh my
ribs.
gosh.
I mean, I'm just getting the crap beat out of me. And then I finally go flying in past the last barrel. But the last barrel, this is a perfect thing to show you. Say this is how the barrel is, the top of the barrel. I went over the top of it and landed like, say, this is me, right? On my back on the other edge, went bam, and got thrown up in the air and hit me right in the lower back. And boy,
Good grief.
I thought I broke my back. And one of the barrels came flying up and hit me in the side of the head, right in the ear. And I'm laying on the ground. I rolled out of the camera thing because they didn't want to see the wolf anymore. And I'm laying there. And Robert Pendergraft, who is a special effects guy, who is also a member of Hollywood Ghost Hunters, comes running over and he's taking off the werewolf head, and he's going real slow, making sure because he's kind of wondering if I broke my neck or not.
Right.
And I'm just laying there, and my friend Richard Friedman comes running up. He's directing, and he goes, "Are you okay?" I said, "Well, I'm only up to my waist, but so far so good, right? And they take the helmet off, and there's blood just coming out of my ear. So now they're all thinking I have brain damage, right? But I know what happened. The barrel hit me right in the edge and cut my inside of my ear open. So they're going, "Oh my God, he's got mad." I said, "Nah, it's just a cut in my ear." And they looked and they go, "Oh, okay." So Richard goes, "Is there anything I can do?" I said, "Can you say those 3 little words I want to hear?" And he goes, "What's that?" I said, "Perfect, moving on." That means you don't
Yes.
have to do it again. And he looks around and he goes, "Perfect, moving on." So that was pretty cool.
I'm so glad you were okay,
Yeah, me too.
relatively speaking.
Me too. Yeah, I'm
Did you have
surprised
to
I
get
made it through.
stitches inside your ear?
What's that?
Did you have to get stitches inside your ear?
Nah, it all dried up in, matter of 3 or 4 days. It was all
Because
crusty in
those would
there.
be hard stitches to do.
Yeah, but yeah, boy, that one walloped me too. You get a 55-gallon steel drum come flying and hit you in the head. Yeah. The hard part
Mhm.
about, when you're doing stunts and you're flying through the air, you want to be air aware. You want to know where you're going to land.
Yeah.
Well, I'm up in the air and every barrel knocks me a different direction. So I'm up here and I'm like, okay, where's the ground? Okay, what's going on? Whoops. Finally, I ended up splat landing on my back, which
Oh
is
my
what
gosh.
that's what I was aiming at, trying to land on my back. So
Well, yeah, but getting so, I mean, because whatever plan you were trying to structure wasn't working
no, not even
because
close.
you couldn't control that.
Yeah, that was all just, there's some of the things that the term because I use it all the time around you. There's some things, you just got to get slobber knocked,
Yeah.
right? And what that really means, it's a stunt term, and it means you're going to hit things so hard it's going to knock the slobber out of you.
Yeah.
And that's what happened there, boy. Just pow, 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 pow. I got hit from everywhere.
Is that the
So
worst time that that's happened to you?
the worst time,
Yeah.
um, that was one of the ones that was bad. The other one that was really bad was Project Metal Beast. And there's a
Project
scene
Metal
in
what?
Project Metal Beast, and it's a 7-foot tall metal hybrid werewolf and robot, right?
Oh,
And Barry Bostwick is who I was doubling, right?
okay.
And he goes up, and that's like his friend, his creation, and it turns on him, and it hits him, right? And he goes flying. So Kane comes up to me, and he goes, "All right," because I was doubling Barry. He goes, "What are we going to do?" He says, "I want you to fly through the air, number one." He says, "But I don't want you to do the typical thing, land in the boxes. Because anytime you see a movie and a guy gets thrown, he lands in the boxes, right?" And I had walked over there and I'd gone up to this steel door. It was a roll down steel door because it was at a water factory. This is a big door, giant door. And I said, okay. And I ran up to it when nobody was looking and jumped and hit it with my shoulder, and it just threw me back. I was like, good. It's got a little trampoline effect. So I can hit that and get knocked over onto my side where I got elbow pads and knee pads and stuff like that. So he goes, "What are you going to do?" I said, "Well, I've got a mini tramp here, professional one." I said, "I'm going to get back here," and had it about 12 feet from the wall. I said, "I'm going to get back here. I'm going to sprint, go here, jump up in the air, go upside down, hit that steel wall, and come flying back down." And the director's looking, he goes, "Are you sure you want to do that?" I said, "It's going to look pretty cool, huh?" And he goes, "It's okay with me," right? So I turned around. The funny part was there was 2 young guys standing there talking to Kane, who was off to the side, and they yelled action. I go sprinting. I go up in the air, and I hit the wall so damn hard, it goes backwards instead of kicking me this way. And I go straight up and down from about 3 feet high, right on the top of my head, straight up and down. Boom! Right? Now, I know that I'm facing the camera, so I spin while I'm still on my head and I'm turning, and I go down where my face is facing the wall because you can't lay there because they'll see you're not buried, right? So I spun as fast as I could, and they all come running up because they thought I got killed. I
Well,
was laying there
yeah.
for a minute. I was laying there for a minute thinking I killed myself too. but Kane comes up and the director comes up. Are you all right? I said, yeah, I'm all right. I'm a little dizzy, but give me a minute, right? And I got up and I looked over and I said, all I saw was the back of these two kids, right? I said, Kane, who are those two kids? He goes, that was a couple of guys that wanted to be stuntmen. And then he looks at me and he goes, they don't want to anymore. so,
So
that
you've
was,
been an object lesson many times.
yeah. So that was another one that just, oh man, that just pounded me, you know. So and that's what you do though. That's your job. I mean, you've
Well,
seen the results. You've seen me sometimes walking, going, "Oh, looking
I
like
have.
Night of the Living Dead."
I have seen that. But you know, it's never long lasting.
No, no, I
But
usually shake it off. But yeah, I
well,
am
you know,
so
that
excited though. I am so excited because you were with me when arguably one of the most amazing ghost hunting things were there,
yes. Oh my gosh.
and
This
that's
was so bizarre.
I want you to tell them what happened because I don't want it to sound like it's all me, but you were sitting right there. So, and,
Well, I was. And in fact, you and I together, well, you included my interpretation, you know, you wrote this article for Fate because this was probably the most bizarre. I know it's the most bizarre paranormal experience I've had, and that included getting shot at Culloden and beaten in the head at the Writers Museum. But this was, it just seemed like we went to Balgony Castle, which, for those that don't know, is probably Rick's favorite place in the world, one of them. Certainly for the paranormal and because his friend the Laird lived there. And the Laird passed after we left Scotland on our last trip. And not Rick's last trip, but on our trip. And so when we got to Balgony Castle, Rick was kind of wondering if the Laird was going to be there for him. And we all did because they had a very, very special relationship. And we were there as the guest of Haunted Scotland. We had been hanging out with them through the afternoon, and they were doing a public investigation. It was kind of like Hunt with the Americans kind of a thing. And it was so special because we were in an area of the castle that was not part of the castle. Like, here's the castle, here's the gatehouse with the museum, but the Laird's workshop was right there, and he was the best woodsman. I mean, not woodsman, but he was the best wood carver, and he was also a certified, nationally recognized leather carver also. But his doors were astounding. Everything that he did was astounding. He was such an artisan. But anyway, so Rick didn't understand why we were in this part of the castle. And when the new Laird, Stuart, came in and was explaining, you know, the area, and I didn't know. And I felt like if we were going to be there, that we needed to know what the objects in this museum were. So he gave us a lesson and, you know, explained everything. It was amazing. But there was also a replica of the castle that Stuart and his dad had made. And it was, you know, in a case and everything. So, and then the door behind us was directly into the Laird's workshop. So it was very personal for the Laird. And it was so funny because we had several groups, and the first group came in, and it was you, myself, Lori, Mikey Thompson, and Julie, who is Mikey's. So we were, or he's hers. Anyway, they're a couple. But we were in there, and We had REM pods. We had everything electronic sound making that there was. I had my digital recorder. We were just doing a EVP session basically. And Rick started it. And it was so off the freaking chain, because Rick starts talking everything. Every K2, 5 lights, every REM wide open. Mikey's REM pod that's sitting on the counter on the museum case in front of me. I mean, it was so wild. Mikey looked over at Rick and said, "Bro, my REM pod don't do that, bro. It doesn't." And so I'm sitting there looking at it, and in the dark, it's looking like fireworks, right? It's looking like the lights are climbing the antenna. And Rick is over sitting there holding his K2. And he's like, "Well, it looks like this is somebody who's accustomed to paranormal equipment." He actually said that. And then, there was, I wonder, and everybody is sitting there like, "Come on now, dude. You're a bright boy. Come on, Rick. Come on, Rick." And his face was, your face was just full of wonder, because when it dawned on you that it was the Laird, you were so moved and so overwhelmed almost. And I was frustrated because my camera had perfect full battery. My camera kept turning off. It was like, "No, you're not going to film this. This is Rick's." So, I finally just quit after about 17 times. But it was the most bizarre, beautiful, and special moment I've ever had paranormal investigating. And I'm going to cry. Look at you. Quit that.
I'm just sitting here minding my own business.
But it was so special. I mean,
it really was.
I've never ever had an experience similar to that. Not even in some of the most haunted locations in the world that I've been to. And because it was personal, that was a spirit who loved you, that you loved back. And y'all's connection was instantaneous when you met. Y'all were so connected. And he came to tell you bye.
But there's more to the story, which I just found out. The thing I forgot to tell you, I said I can't remember.
Yeah.
Heather Besser, who people will remember from being on your show.
Beautiful psychic, just so you know. Well, actually, she's a medium. She's a medium. With psychic abilities.
Looking for shirts for me, all cotton 2X. So I'm not a medium. But anyway.
But she is.
I said, you ever, the Laird at Balgony Castle, can you ever pick him up on? She goes, yeah. She goes, I had just a second ago, and I was getting ready to tell you. And I said, what was it? And he said, tell the secret. Nobody knew about this but you and me and a couple other people.
Yeah.
Right? Because he had told me a very big secret. And finally, because stuff that came out in his obituary, and I saw it after he passed, and he was very, let's just say he was very high up in the remaining Knights Templar, would be the best way of saying it. They had Knights Templar functions at his castle, and I mean there was so much Knights Templar stuff going on through the castle. But
every room.
One of the weird things that was actually happened when we were doing that, two things actually. Was Lori sitting right next to me. We both have K2 meters.
Yep.
And both of our K2 meters go all 5 lights and lock. Mm-hmm. We can't get them to go. I mean, what happened in there was just an explosion of energy.
It was.
I mean,
it was like, hello.
I mean, it just went boom and everywhere off. And the only one that didn't get it was me. Because I was trying to figure everything out. But the secondary thing was we had like 45 minutes with every group because that's what they were doing. They were rotating. We didn't get anything in the other 3 times.
Nothing.
He came by, said his goodbyes, and that was it.
I mean, literally, pardon the term, but dead as a post.
Yeah.
He was done. He was done. And I think that whoever else is there often respected his time.
Yeah, it was amazing.
But what was interesting, and I don't know because I still have not asked, and I talk to the guys all the time. I don't know why I haven't asked, but someone in there with us kept saying, Greg said that there was a code word, that you would have a word. Can you say the word? I don't know if anyone on review ever got anything like that.
I didn't hear anything.
But regardless, there was no doubt. There was not a need for a word at that point.
I mean, everybody in the room just went, what the hell just happened? I mean, Mikey was sitting there and Lori.
Mikey was stunned.
Yeah. Julie, Mikey's wife, was a newbie, right?
Yeah.
For the ghost hunting. And she's just sitting there and she's looking like, wow, does this happen all the time?
She was taken aback, but everybody there was taken aback because I'm sorry. I've done this for years. You've done this for years. I mean, I'd never had anything close. Not a thing close to that.
It was a very interesting tour. Let's just put it that way. You got shot. What else happened to you? Something else happened to you up in the writer's place.
I got whacked in the back of the head. I actually thought I put my hand up, thought I was bleeding. And there was nothing, and I didn't. Lori saw me. I mean, she said I went white as a ghost, as it were. But I thought somebody had hit me or something had fallen and hit me.
Yeah, it was
and it was right
Lori.
at the base of my skull.
It was probably Lori. You know how sneaky she can be.
Well, it got to the point that I asked, was her name Nicole, our guide? I think it was Nicole. I just finally had to ask. I was just like, did someone die of a head wound here? Like here? And, Jay Craig just kind of looked over at her like, did they? And she said, well, actually, yeah, there was a man who fell on the stairs and they brought him in and provided care for him and stuff. And he passed away. And I was like, oh, she was like, the papers relevant to his care and everything are in the room you just walked out of.
Wow.
And I said, oh, well, we're done here. I'm done with this. And that's what got me, in both of those occasions, the Writers Museum, it was just kind of showing me, didn't realize that it was so strong and stopped. Yeah, I left the area, I went downstairs, but it didn't continue. The Culloden experience, we had to leave, and I was never so glad to leave an area of investigation in my life because it literally took my breath, and I did not know how I was going to walk all the way through the battlefield. And, so you, Lindsay, and I left, and that was such a blessing because I was hurting.
I didn't like Culloden because I was really mad when I saw what happened.
Yes.
I just couldn't believe what had happened. It's like, you guys actually ran from over there. It had to be over 500 yards.
It was well over that. Yeah.
I always said it was about 700, but it was a long way away. Yeah. And it's all muddy bogs. And the guy sent this Scottish troops over towards the English
guy
who are already ensconced with all of their weaponry. The Scots didn't have a lot of the weaponry. They were more hand-to-hand stuff. And they just got annihilated. And I was like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
1,435 Scots died.
And charge that group that's got guns.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
They did take out several hundred of the English, but it was like 300 and something, I think, 300 or 700 against 1,735 Scotsmen that died that day. And if they were down, the English came through and finished killing them if they weren't dead yet. And then they
Yeah.
went to go find their families.
Yeah, they didn't.
And people
survive.
wonder why the Scots have an attitude.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they do. Well, you got to remember too that most of the Scots have Viking blood.
Yeah.
So I mean, when you figure out that Scots how scrappy they are, and you come from the Vikings, they're pretty scrappy people.
Well, the
Yeah.
Scots ran the Vikings off.
Well, they did indeed. Well, the
So,
first what happened was the Vikings were very well known for sneak attacks
yeah.
on the coast. That's what they did. They'd come up in the middle of the night, they'd get everybody out, and they would attack when nobody was awake. And
Yeah.
so they were kind of hit and run kind of guys. Well, somebody tipped them off about the next time the Vikings were coming, and the Scots were just kind of all laying in wait. And then when they had a fair fight, the Scots wiped them out. And
Yeah.
except for there was probably maybe 50 to 100 of them left because of the Vikings. And they told them, they said, okay, here's your two choices. You can assimilate here and become good citizens, or die. What do you want? You get to choose. Assimilate, please. So
Yeah.
a lot of the Scottish blood is mixed with Viking.
Well, that would explain a lot.
Yeah.
So,
So,
Tom
yeah,
McNicholas, I'm sorry.
No, they're a scrappy bunch, Scots. I'll tell you.
They still are. But Tom said that he has a secret code word also, and we have one.
We do, and you're the only person that knows what it is.
Yeah.
No, somebody else said it to me one time. I went, "What?" I must have said it on your show.
You may have.
Because this one girl said, "Oh, and here's your code word." I was like, "How'd you know that?" She goes, "I heard it." Oops.
Yeah. Well, but it's actually so fitting because for people that don't know, we met at Scarefest in Lexington. The connection was immediate. We've been friends ever since, and we're great friends. And so we talk a lot. And when I was in Key West and got hurt and came home, you were the designated entertainment by choice.
Oh
by
no.
choice. So
anything but that.
I know, right? But that's where because you were hurt too, and you had been through knee injuries, and you were my support system, right? David had everything he could do. He was struggling to take care of the house and take care of me and run a business and take care of all the animals. And so you were my saving grace. And
yeah, but you had your redheaded backup.
not then. Not so much then.
That's true.
And so that's when you and me and David kind of became an inseparable trio. Even though, y'all don't talk very much, but
yeah, David's my buddy, and I've never even met him.
Yeah, and he will always be your buddy. So It's pretty cool. But but anyway, that's where us being such close friends came from, because he helped me survive a really tough thing. And we have all the same interests just about, except I don't like hot blondes with long hair and boobs. But, that's your color Kool-Aid.
I'm not a boob person.
That's true. You're a butt guy. So
that part is true.
Yeah. But I mean, we just have different tastes there. So did I embarrass you?
I'm not ignoring you here. I'm trying to get back to this one picture so it's actually from Scarefest. And I
love that picture.
You can tell me how long ago I've known you.
That was, gosh, I don't even remember what year it was. It was
It's
the first time I was credentialed there.
A while back, for sure.
Yeah, it's been.
It's more than 4 years, for sure.
Well, it's been over 7.
I would think it's more like 7 or 8 is what I would think.
I think it's probably 8. Because when we met, I was covering Scarefest as media, and it was my first time there. and the Hollywood Ghost Hunters were there, and it was so much fun. And we did a ghost hunt at that brewery. Wasn't it a brewery?
Well, it was. I think it was some kind of bar.
Distillery.
Yeah.
It was a distillery, and it was so much fun. So
It actually was a lot of fun.
it was a lot of fun.
It was a great deal.
Oh, because I had just gotten Fate, just started doing Fate, and we hadn't announced it yet. And you announced it in front of everybody, and I was like, "Oh, we hadn't even mentioned that." And Kane looked at me and said, "We just did." I was like, "Cool beans."
I did it. My fault. Blame it on me.
It was all good because I was so excited and said, "What a cool place!" And to have the Hollywood Ghost Hunters announce it too, that was cool.
Yeah.
And then for you to turn out to be one of my very best friends was even cooler. So it was a good day.
Well, it was cool. It worked out good for me.
So, what is
Although you did call me at 7:00 in the morning yesterday to wish me happy birthday. Like,
I did.
I'm old. I sleep in.
You do not. You lay in, but you don't sleep in.
That's true. I lay there like a big salami.
Yeah.
I can't find any pictures here. I have 1,500 pictures, I think, or 2,000.
Well, Google it by the area.
And I do actually have just a very preponderance of dog pictures. Wonder where he came from.
I don't know who would be sending you dog pictures.
No, they're ones I took.
Oh, okay. I feel better now.
Could be that hairy little ape that lives downstairs.
The precious hairy little ape that lives downstairs.
No, I may not ever see him again at this rate.
Well, you never know.
Well, this is pictures with Cheryl Plum in it. There's Sophia Temporelli.
Sophia Temporelli. Well, here we go.
That's us.
That's us. And that was when we first met, which we're kind of huggy for just meeting, but you're huggy with everybody. So, but that was a good time.
I was heavy. What does that mean?
Huggy.
Oh, huggy. Yes, huggy. I do hug everybody that goes by.
So, but never inappropriate.
No, I just like to hug people. What can I tell you?
Well, you're single. You're entitled.
Yeah, but I don't do any hugs that are out
You're
of line.
not ever inappropriate.
Yeah,
which is why David trusts me to travel with you.
Yeah,
or trust you to travel with me, or both.
Anytime I hug anybody, that most people will notice, I always have my hip up against them.
Yes.
It's
not chest to chest.
No.
Oh, Tom McNicholas said that he knows Keith Age's code word. So that's funny because I have investigated with Keith Age at a bowling alley of all places in Tennessee. And that was so much fun.
Did you get to bowl?
No, it wasn't. It was a defunct bowling alley, or at least it wasn't rolling that night. But there was that was an educational thing. But he was funny because he didn't know me from Eve. And so somebody I knew was going as talent with him. And I just went ahead and bought a ticket and went on up there. And so I was just doing my thing, going through because I didn't know anybody else that was there. And it was a good time. There was some stuff happening. I wouldn't expect that. And he kind of looked over at me and says, you're an investigator. And I'm like, well, I am. That's why I'm here. And after that, we got to where we could, be friends. But he was just kind of like so shocked that I was actually, carrying my rig and investigating. I like it though. Lori said you also fall down.
I've been known to do that, yes.
But
and not during the movies.
Yeah. You fall
I get,
down, but
I always get back up.
get back up again. Yes.
I get knocked down. I get back up again. Yeah,
Ain't
I
nothing
took
gonna
one of
keep
the
you
most
down.
hellacious spills you'll ever see when I hit this cement pylon in Scotland.
Oh,
And
that was so scary.
yeah, and you guys were right behind me, and I'm looking up in the sky, and these pylons were like up to your knees,
Up
and
to
they
your
were cement.
knees.
And I'm walking along, and I hit both legs onto the pylon and went head first over them, and was able to get my forearms out in front of it. Boom!
Save the
But I
hat.
did have a heavenly experience. As soon
You
as I
did.
hit the ground, I started levitating, and I'm like, "What the hell is going on?" And there's a restaurant right there where I fell,
Yeah,
and all
with
the
outdoor
chef people
seating.
came out and grabbed me and lifted me up off the ground. And I'm like,
They did.
"Whee!"
Are you okay, sir? Are you okay, sir?
Yes, just
No,
launch
you
me
weren't.
on down the way.
That was just kind of like, and I was so impressed with your stuntman skills because the first thing you did was get up over the head, and you never lost the hat. You had the hat as you,
Gotta have the hat.
yeah, as you came over. But those were the kindest people. The Scots are just so special.
Yeah, but you know what? I have another ghost hunting story for you,
Tell me.
which you weren't standing there when it happened, but you know what happened. We had walked, according to Lori's walking thing, her app, said
Right.
that we'd walked 9 miles that day.
Hmm.
Now I need 2 knee replacements, and walking that far was a little rough, right?
Yeah.
Well, we're inside this place in Inverness, this one graveyard, which
Yeah.
the coolest thing I ever saw was Julie, who we didn't really know if she was going to be in on it or not, if she's going to
Yes.
take to it. I'm walking through the graveyard and I'm looking off to the side. I see her all by herself with her little K2 meter. And
Getting
she's
into
going
it.
down. I was like, oh, she's hooked. She's
Yes.
hooked. But I'm walking around and I'm with this girl named Kimberly who I didn't know. She was a guest of Highland Paranormal. And I'm walking along with her and I'm looking around trying to find a chair or a bench or anything to sit on, big rock, and there's nothing around, and my knees are starting to wobble.
Hmm.
And I look and there's a tombstone right next to me that looks like a coffee table.
Yep. It did look just like a coffee table.
Un momento. I am on the radio. Gotta go.
And that's how he does that. Truly.
That was my brother. I can afford to be mean to him. But anyway, I see this thing. It looks like a coffee table, and
Mhm.
it's a monument. And I just leaned over and I said, look, I mean, no disrespect, but I can't walk another step. I have to sit down. I sit down. Now, my K2 meter had not gone off one time in the hour and a half I'd been there.
Yeah.
Right. And I sat down and instantly it went all 5 lights like this as soon as I touched it. And I was like, oh my. Right. And I said,
Yeah.
are you telling me to get off? Boom, 5 lights again. And the girl's looking and she's like, whoa. Right.
Yeah.
And I said, can you give me 30 seconds to regroup? My knees I don't think I could stand up. Right. And it twinkles between 2 and 3 and it just stayed there. And then after about 30 seconds, it goes, boom, 5 lights. I said, if you do it again, I'll get off. Boom, 5 lights. I said, okay. But I mean, everything was instant. And that was when I told you, I said, you know what, I might quit ghost hunting. Because this was the day after what just happened with the Laird.
Right.
And I said, where am I ever going to find anything better than these 2 things? I mean, they were both amazing.
Well, and we know that you won't. And why won't we?
Because now we know.
Because now we know.
Now we know. That's a great line you came up with, by the way.
Well, it's true.
Look for it in Fate magazine, because that's the last line of what is in that write-up.
Well, but it was really, you said that, and I just was like, we can't, because, with the Laird, that was somebody who did know about paranormal investigation. You absolutely called that when the activity was happening, right? And so the gentleman at the cemetery he may have been familiar with paranormal investigation. I'm sure he saw people doing that, but
No,
but
we were
he
the first.
actually
We were the first people to ever ghost hunt that place.
in that cemetery.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's what Liam said.
Wow. Well, that's very cool. I didn't know that. Well, then that makes it even more interesting because I was going to say if that wasn't, you know, if that was somebody that was familiar with what we do, then he would have known to get your attention by hitting that. But the fact that he didn't, holy whoa.
Well, I mean, and not only that, I mean, the fact that Heather Besser, who's ungodly
Unbelievable.
good
Unbelievable.
psychic or medium, whatever she is, telling me, now you can tell the secret. And that was one of the things that he and I had in common. He told me a secret when I first met him.
Yep.
And I mean, it all just wrapped up. You know what else she told me? Now, this is another ghost story.
Tell me.
And you know where we were at because I showed you where we were staying. You guys were farther down. You and Lori were farther down. I made sure you guys got the better lookout over the water and everything else.
And it was so appreciated because it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
But
And I was there by myself before. This is at St. Andrews University. Now, if you go there during the summer months, they actually use these as hotel rooms,
Mhm.
and you get a pretty good price on them, right?
Yeah.
And it's right in the middle of where everybody pays $300 to $500 a night. And I mean, and it's right across the street. You can see it's amazing. So
Yeah.
first time I was there, I went upstairs. I'm on the third floor because I wanted to get a view. And there's only one other guy on my floor. Now these buildings are huge, right?
And they're
I mean,
ancient of days too.
yeah, and they're really, so he's way down the way. You know, I never saw him. But I laid down and I'd been there maybe a minute or two, probably 2 minutes. And I'm not asleep. I'm wide awake. I'm just sitting there. And I heard the thing that's going to stick with me forever. I heard a girl scream. And I heard a girl scream that she was being murdered, without a doubt. And the thing that first came into my head was she was being eviscerated, which means she was being gutted. And the amount of terror in her voice and pain in her voice, I went running out in the hallway and running down the hallway trying to find where this was happening. Couldn't find anything. So I asked Heather, I said, Heather, I got a question about, St. Andrews. And she says, how far were you from the stairway? I said, about 2 rooms. She goes, they killed her in the stairway. I didn't tell her the story.
Yeah.
I mean, they killed her in the stairway. She scares me.
She scares me too. But I'm so glad that you connected me with her because I have never, and I'm actually trying to get her back on. So, but she is somebody that I have never met anyone like. And, we know people that do these things, and it's just kind of a weird thing that this particular person came up because you reached out to me and you're like, you're not going to believe this woman. You have got to talk to this woman. And I'm like, why? And you told me, and I'm like, well, get me in touch with her. And so we did. And when I talked to her, she was like, well, do you want me to come on your show or do you want a reading? Or I was like, well, based on what Rick said, I'd like to have you on, but I'm open to either. And so she just started. And she blew me away too, because she told me that I had dogs around me, which that's all over Facebook. Anybody's going to know that. But she came out with a specific name that wasn't who I thought would be with me right then. And then, she came up with 3 men's names, and one was my dad, one was my deceased nephew, and the other was his dad, who was also deceased. And I was just like, and I never feed. I was like, I know that name. I know that name. I know that name. And I'm always really careful with my inflection and everything. And so when we got through, she was just kind of like, well, was that okay? And I'm like, well, let me tell you who those people are. And I think she was blown away by how blown away I was, because we both were just like, oh my gosh,
Well, I have
look
a
at
feeling
you.
that happens to her every single time.
Well, I think so. You know,
You know what she did with me? She was, we were talking, and she was, I mean, one after the other, nailing it, nailing it, nailing it. And as she was getting ready to sign off, she goes, by the way, your grandmother wants you to remember the glass. And I'm thinking, what glass? What is she talking about? I don't get it. And then it dawned on me. She had a famous poem that she just absolutely loved, which I had actually taken out and put her picture behind and everything else. And this is after she was signing off. And I don't know if you can see it, but can you see the name of the poem?
yeah.
The Man in the Glass. And what it is the poem, and it's nice because she used to tell me that all the time. It's about you can rule the world, but at the end of the day, when you look in the mirror, you have to like the man that's in the glass.
Yeah.
So when she just said, yeah, and your grandma's saying, remember the glass.
Enough said.
Where does that come from? I'm the only person that knows that. I have the only copy of this. It's sitting next to my desk. I mean, she's amazing.
She is amazing. And you know, you put me on to some really good people a lot. Scottish Paranormal springs to mind.
Well,
That's
I do believe that Scottish Paranormal is the best ghost hunting group in the world. I really do.
yeah, I do too. And that's not slamming anybody else.
No,
I'm just saying that they're so professional. They have taken to television with Haunted Scotland. They've maintained that same professionalism. They are writers, they are photographers, they are mediums, they are, you know,
nice
one of
people.
them speaking much better English now. Hi, Ryan. But, you know, I mean, it's just so.
Oh, is that his name?
You couldn't tell, could you? Ryan from the telly. I love you, Ryan. Don't beat me. So I'm just kidding. People say that to him all the time.
Well, you know, he's on Haunted Scotland, and now he's on
Yes.
Haunted Ireland.
Ireland, yeah.
And everybody makes a thing of going, "Oh, you're Ryan from the telly," and it's an inside joke.
Yeah.
And we were at Balgoni, and I walked in. I go, "Hey, you're Ryan from that." He goes, "You shut up. You've done 75 movies."
Well, I did it to him when we were in that cemetery when we had the cookout. Mm-hmm. And I walked up and I'm like, "Oh, you're Ryan from the telly." And he was like, I love them. They are the nicest men.
You got Gregor, who grew up in St. Andrews and has written now at a guess 25 or 26 books.
Gregor, he's in the 30s, I think.
No, he's not there yet. The last time I heard this, that he had
Haunted Parrot.
He was under contract to do like more.
Yeah.
But I think the ones that he actually has out is like 26.
And they're all good.
I'm running out of spaces, Gregor.
I'm not. Keep them coming.
I'm running out of places to put you.
And just so y'all know, there is an archive of my show with Gregor Stewart. So you can find it on Facebook. You can find it all over the place. But yes, Gregor is someone you can look on the X account, because I think that he was on Fate. So for those that don't know, I do 2 radio shows, one on Wednesday, one on Sundays, and I love both of them. But this is so much fun when I get the opportunity to have friends who have been on both. And it's just because I love getting to share you. There's a lot of people, believe it or not, that don't know you're a ghost hunter. I don't know why.
Yeah, I've only been doing it now for, 58 years.
Yep. Yep. In fact, I just got a message from a young woman who is joining us on X. So that would be Ellie Merrill. So, hello, love you.
Hi,
But
Ellie.
that's my daughter.
I know who it is.
Yeah. But anyway, because I got a message that said, I can't find it. So I sent her
she
the
did.
tried and true link.
She found it though. All right,
Yeah.
here's what I want you to do. I want you to tell him another story about what happened because I'm going to the little stuntman's room.
What story do you want me to tell?
Anything you want to tell, that will take 3 minutes.
Okay. Well, nothing like a little pressure, right? But anyway, let's see. 3 minutes. One of the things that we did in Scotland that I thought was so amazing, we were in Perth. We were at that time working with Lynn and Gary from the History and Hauntings tour company. It was so cool because when we were there the first time, we went through Greyfriars Kirk and Haymark in Edinburgh. Well, when we were actually in Perth, there is also a Greyfriars cemetery. And Gary, the husband's side, had actually started doing haunted tours of Perth. And he was brilliant. He had the costume, the overcoat, the hat. He knows everything. So we had been through and we had the best time. When we got to what I thought was the end of the tour, it was Greyfriars Graveyard. And some of the most beautiful statuary is so overgrown. It's just absolutely amazing. But I'm not much of one for tours like that because I like to wander and find things on my own. I would have missed so much had I not done that. So if you were somewhere and you have an opportunity to go with the person that is reputable and knowledgeable and you can talk to somebody and find out how cool they are, I would do that. He is the one that told us about the and y'all have heard this on my other shows, but in Perth, they had so many floods and they had so many graves that were disrupted and destroyed. And there's grates when they actually came through and dug up these graves to be able to relocate them. There are drainage things and they have ghosts in them. So I was telling them about the roads in Perth, and that was probably my favorite thing. One of my favorite things in Perth, with the drains that have the ghosts in them.
Yeah,
I thought that was so nice that they had those. But I thought it was interesting that we had visited Greyfriars in Greyfriars Kirk's cemetery when we were in Edinburgh, and then we also got to visit the one in Perth. You did not, but it was so brilliant. Have you been in it yet?
no.
On a previous trip?
Mm-mm.
Well, I was just telling them what a great haunted tour guide that Gary Knight is with the History and Hauntings tours. So he was so dapper. He had the top hat, he had the overcoat, and he knew his stuff cold. It was perfect.
I believe I was investigating my bed.
You were. Rick caught the crud like nobody's business. And we were a little bit worried about him, especially, just because. But look, here you are. You pulled through. We're so excited by that.
I'm hard to kill. What can I tell you?
Thank God. Keep that up.
So
I would miss you.
Everything about Scotland was just amazing. And now let's go for a commercial.
Let's do this.
A commercial announcement. I am lucky enough to be the ambassador for May Hernan's secret. What is it now?
Secret Ireland tours.
Yes.
Secret.
And we are going to be going through Ireland, starting in Dublin.
Yay.
And myself, Kat, Lori, Mikey, we're all going. What Well, I have to. I'm the ambassador. I kind of,
They're going to insist that you be there.
kind of that I should be there. But it's going to be September 1st through the 9th. And the real nice thing that she does right now, she lets you pay in installments for these things. Most people don't. And I mean, we're going to go to the Hellfire Club. We're going to go to Leap Castle. I mean, we're going to go to, if you like ghost hunting, we're going to go to several really good places. Now, I've been to Hellfire Club, which was amazing when I was there. And Leap Castle, I had enough. I don't even like talking about that place.
Yeah, that was pretty rough.
Yeah. But yeah, they're both world famous. They say that Leap Castle is the most haunted place in the world.
Do you think so?
From when I was there, Hellfire Club was more active that day.
You had a family connection to Hellfire, though.
That was true, and I think that's why it blew up. Which, boy, that was an amazing thing. You know, it's funny when I tell people this. Half the time I'm saying it, and I think I'm lying, because it's just too cool. Should I tell them what happened at Hellfire?
Yeah.
When we got to Hellfire, there's a guy who was a member of Parliament. At one time, he was the Lord Mayor of London, named John Wilkes, who actually happened to be related to John Wilkes Booth, and they both happen to be related to me. Right? So we're in the Hellfire Club, and John Wilkes had been a member of the Hellfire Club. Matter of fact, he's the only one that was ever thrown out of the Hellfire Club. So I was pretty sure
that had to be quite an accomplishment.
Well, I pretty much said after that, they said he got thrown out. I said, yeah, he's my relative. Now I know for sure. But they had a Frank's box, and I'm sure all of you know what that is.
Not everybody.
Well, it's this bigger box. It's the same thing that Thomas Edison had built, which he called the telephone to the dead. And it gets some pretty good stuff there. As a matter of fact, Scottish Paranormal uses one that I had happened to me at Balgony. We were all sitting around, and it's sitting next to me. And I said, "Do you mind if I ask it something?" They said, "Go ahead." I said, "Is there anything in the castle we should be afraid of?" And it came back with a Scottish accent, which was really cool. And it went, "The energy." It was like,
and you can see that on his promotional reel.
Yeah, that's true. Which I had this person that made my promo. I mean, everybody raves about it, and I don't know who it was, but if you need a promo reel, you might want to go to that person right there.
Or up there.
It was amazing.
A lot of stuff to work with. It was easy.
But we got in there, and I asked, I said, "Hi, my name is Rick," and that's one of the things I always do. I always introduce myself, and I always get my name called. And I've had people actually say to me, like they're accusing me of something. They go, "Well, why did your name come up and ours didn't?" I said, "Did you introduce yourself?" "Well, no." I did.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I got to give them something to work with.
Yeah, I said, "My name is Rick. I'm from the United States, and I'm related to John Wilkes. And I just came over to tell my relative hi." Right? And it mumbles a couple words that didn't mean anything, right? And I said, "So that's just what I really wanted, was to say hi." And it goes, "Hi, Rick." And everybody sitting around looks and goes, "What?" Right? Yeah. So I said, "Yeah, well, hi." And I said, "Yeah, you're my relative, so I just really want to talk to you." And it goes, "Relative?" And I said, "Yeah." And I said, "Now let me ask you one question, because if you answer yes, I'll know you're my relative." I said, "Did you really dress a baboon up like Satan and turn it loose into the Hellfire Club?" Right? And it goes, "Baboon." And I turned around and looked at the two people who were standing there, and I said, "Oh, that's got to be the most amazing piece of tape ever." I mean, in like 3 minutes to have that kind of direct interaction.
Yep.
And they go, "Oh, we're not recording." And I'm like, and I felt like saying, "And did you hear about the two people that were killed in the Hellfire Club?"
That just never came out. Yeah.
Well, he actually had done that, scared the hell out of a couple people, and they ran him out of the club. So, but it was funny.
Things work out.
Yeah, it was funny. But that place was very haunted when I was there. So, Not to say the Lepp Castle wasn't, because I spent most of my time at Lepp Castle in a car out in front, laying there thinking I was croaking.
Yep.
Um,
You don't
which I'm
get to do that this time.
no, there'll be none of that this time.
None of that.
But yeah, I've had so many remarkable things that it's hard to believe that they're true. I mean, they're so out there. I mean, I'll tell your group another one that's just hard to believe. I was driving back. I was in my 4Runner, and I was going back to Tennessee. Now, my dad had passed away a couple of years earlier, and I was going back to do our home show with my evil stepmother. By the way, I love my evil stepmother. That's how I can get away with saying that about her. She's really sweet, one of the
She is
sweetest
really
people you ever
sweet.
meet. But she's also like a honey badger if she gets mad. She's about the same size as a honey badger too.
She is little.
But I'm driving along, and if you can, visualize this, the big cement dividers that they have on the highway when they're doing construction, the high ones.
Yes.
They had a whole, probably a mile or so of these things. And I'm in the speed lane, I'm going along, and on the right side was one of those big steel double, the double tankers that have, gas in them or milk or whatever they have in them, but the two big ones. And I start to go, and here's the car, and I'm catching up, and I'm just starting to go in between the truck and all these big cement barriers. Yeah. And just as I start to go there, my brakes just go boom and just launch me right. And I'm hanging on. I'm trying to fight this thing because now I'm starting to slide and everything else. And I start to pull. I'm pulling like this, and I'm trying to get the damn thing to work. And it's, I was going 70, and all of a sudden the brakes lock. Right. Well, just as I'm starting to fight, the truck goes farther because I'm not still flying along like I was. And the truck goes real fast from this thing into the place where I was and smashes off the walls that were built, which would have killed me like that. And as soon as it went by, the brakes let go, and I turned real hard to the right. Fortunately, there was nobody coming in that lane and to kill me that way. Of course, they probably saw what was going on and slowed down, whoever was behind me. But I was able to get back in the car. Now, in my book, there's a thing in there where I talk, and I call my dad the French whore, because he would come out of his bedroom and it'd be like 30 feet away, and you could smell the Aramis on him from when he was coming out of his room. And I'd always go, here comes the French whore, right? So I'm driving down the way, and I mean, I'm shaking from all the adrenaline. I mean, because I just about got killed. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And all of a sudden, the inside of my car filled up with the scent of Aramis. So, sometimes you get a little help from other places.
You do, and it's always appreciated.
Yeah, but I mean, it's you tell people stories like that. Now you made it up. No, I'm really not that good of a writer. So,
well, you are.
Just go.
We have this kid in the chat room named Allie Merrill.
Hi, Allie.
So, and she has a different question. It's a little bit off our beaten path. And I wanted to bring this up because, this is a lot of what Fate is about, right? Mm-hmm. But about these drones that have been flying all over the world. They're not just in Jersey anymore. But I have an opinion on these, but okay, I'm going to start off with this. They started in Jersey as far as being reported. So I figured there were some, aliens wanting to watch the Jersey Shore stuff. They've seen it on TV, on the satellite. But now they're over all kinds of bases. They're all, and you do have an interest in UFOs, so this is why I'm bringing it up with you. And it is paranormal because it's not normal. But what do you think about this stuff? They're over your state. They're in California. They're everywhere. They're actually over all of our bases, Rendlesham, everywhere else over in England. And I do know that there are Chinese submarines that are off those coasts because they've been being reported. What do you think this stuff is? Aliens or bad guys or both?
Well, I don't think it's aliens, because aliens probably wouldn't come be that blatant. And the fact is, a lot of them, they all have lights,
Yeah.
right? You don't really see lights on the UFOs.
Mm-mm.
So I don't think it's that. I think it's just people who got a wild hair up their butt and found out that nobody was going to do anything. So more and more people came out just to press the envelope. And now they're just flying around and they're trying to, and they're like Mikey, who, by the way, our friend Mikey is an amazing drone pilot.
He is the best drone operator.
Yeah, he gets some amazing video. But Mikey Thompson for president of drone pilots. But
There
anyway,
you go.
I think it's just all these people wanting to get video of places they're not supposed to see. I mean, I'm surprised there's not a whole bunch of them over Area 51.
That's where I would go.
Yeah, but
those would get shot down.
yeah, they should shoot them down.
Yes.
If they're over, restricted stuff, they should be shot down instantly.
Yep.
There's too much.
Well, that's what real grown-ups do. We don't have anybody in charge right now, though.
Well, it'll change shortly. Besides that,
but I mean, there's not anybody to pull the trigger right now.
Well, you know what? The rednecks will take care of it.
If it comes in the right spot, they will.
Yeah, they come down to Alabama. All you're going to hear is crash.
We've got people sitting here waiting, locked and loaded, I'm sure.
Yeah, they always say, Richard Pryor, I think it was, that said,
yes,
why is it all the UFOs always land down, down south? He says, what did it look like? It was big and yellow. Right? He says, now you get them down here into New York City. And he says, all the brothers be going, how much for petrol?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think it's just people just seeing that they have an opportunity now to join in on the fun. And, now something that is concerning is the size of some of these things.
Indeed. These are not just babies.
Yeah.
They're not just reconnaissance. Let's put it that way.
So, and I've seen some that are quite large, in different shows I've been watching. So, my feeling is that the big drones they're seeing are the ones that are ours that are going out there looking to see what the other drones are all about. So, but yeah, they should just start taking these things down. We have technology that we can use electronic jamming and just drop them all out of the sky.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you really want them all to drop out of the sky, just have the people from what is that, Skinwalker Ranch come over and try and fly some, because they always fall out of the sky on them.
We should get Travis Taylor over there working on that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Travis.
No, but I mean, you ever seen whenever they try and do whenever they try to do all the drones at Skinwalker, they all come crashing down. So get those people to come over and turn their stuff on and just drop them out of the sky.
Well, Allie has a good point, says, but the FBI won't comment. And it's interesting they're allowing it. And I think that it is interesting that nothing is being done about this, because regardless of origin, and I have seen UFOs, and they do move a lot differently than what we're seeing. But my husband said these are not, they're not satellites, they're not anything, because they're moving erratically. Mm-hmm. Stuff that we have, most of it won't go in circles or, go up and down and drop the way that they're moving. And Allie said, love Skinwalker, but these aren't crashing, and they're not. But I think that if they were UFOs, that they are UFOs because they're unidentified as far as we know. But as far as being off planet, otherworldly, then I don't think they are, because I've seen those. This is not what they look like, although there could be different ones.
Have you ever seen the ones that Mikey got?
Yes.
The 3 lights?
Yes.
That's one of the most amazing ones I've ever seen.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't think there's a lot to that. I think that's all a lot of people just joining in. There's something happening, and they all come out and bring their stuff, and now it's just let's have fun.
Well, now
But
I
the fact
think
that
that,
we don't know what the hell they are is
and we're
very
just letting them stay.
disconcerting to me.
Well, there's precedent for this though, because we had a balloon go over
Oh,
Minot, go over all these other
two
places.
balloons.
Yeah, but I mean, we had them have unfiltered access, and I'm sorry, you don't
Well,
get to be doing that if you've got
well, you know what?
people
You
paying
got to remember
attention.
too is that we didn't know those balloons were there till two ranchers in Montana told
Took
them that
video.
they were there.
Yeah.
So,
We were
lately,
not told when they came into Alaska. We weren't told when they came across it. And they had to go through Canada to get to continental US.
yeah, and not only that, the fact is that they kept going over a lot of secret locations and very places they shouldn't have been. And they should have shot it down instantly because all they were spy balloons, and
That's all they were.
they should have taken it down right off the bat. And did they? No, they let it go completely across both of them completely across the country before
And they took
they
them
went
down
down
offshore.
until they went down in the water.
And
Somebody should go to jail for that.
yes, they should. And I think that that's exactly what's happening here.
Could
I
be.
think that bad players are fully aware of our political situation, and that they're being confrontational, and the fact that nobody has had the balls to take one of them down yet.
Well, I'm telling you.
I mean, but then again, you don't know what kind of payload they're taking. So are you going to take that down over a populated area? You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. But my God, somebody needs to do something.
May I say my best Southern accent? Hell, man, that'll look good on my mantle.
My God. Yeah, nice hood ornament. But
Take
you
that
know,
thing down.
I think I got nothing. I think it's the most bizarre, dumbass thing that nobody's doing anything about them. Excuse my French.
Well, here's something strange that I don't know why they're not doing this. A lot of people don't know this, but we do have the technology to turn your car off while it's driving.
Yep.
We could turn off all those things too just by flying our own drone through there and watching them drop out of the sky.
Yep.
It doesn't really seem that hard to fix,
Yeah.
But it's
Allie,
that was a great question.
Yeah, she's pretty bright. She's like, she thinks humans deserve the benefit of the doubt, and we're known to doubt. But this is too widespread online. This seems exploratory and allowed by government. And I agree. And I think that the government that's allowing this should face repercussions for that decision, but they won't.
Well, we had 592 places where our own cities were burned and nobody did anything.
Yep.
Right. So the fact that there's drones up there, you think they're actually going to take care of that? No. And it's just a matter of, it's really not that hard to take care of. You go out one night and you blast the shit out of everything that's up there. And then you say the next day, anything flying in the United States, this is what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And starting tomorrow. So
I think that the best option, though, truly is just the disable them, because we don't know what kind of payload they're carrying, if any.
Yeah, that's true. Well, of course, then again, our drone person confessed to the guy that was in charge of the monuments and the drone stuff right next to him. And he's going, yeah, I snuck it in there. Nobody knew. And I'm like,
oh my God.
Mikey,
we're all going to jail in
Mikey,
Scotland.
You do know that the guy sitting next to you is in charge of all that. And he went, what? I said, true.
Looked like two side order of grits is what he looked like. Love you, Mikey.
But Jay Craig's a good friend. Jay Craig's a good friend of mine. So
yeah. Well, in all fairness, that's the best freaking Scottish video on the planet. It's so good. True. But we'll play that for y'all again one day.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get Mikey to have time to come in. He's kind of booked until the end of the year.
Yeah, he's got some talent with that drone. There's no doubt about it.
And as a ghost hunter, he's a brilliant paranormal investigator.
Yeah.
He's
The one thing I
patient, he's
remember so much
intelligent.
is when he went to help Lori backwards up the stairs and he hit his head on the cement thing.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I had seen it. It was going to happen, and I
We
got
were
over
in
there.
the oh come on, the
We're
labyrinth.
down in the labyrinths. Downstairs in the labyrinths is where that happened.
And that was so the tunnels, but it was really interesting.
Well, I know one thing for sure. When I reached out and grabbed him by his coat and held him up because he got stunned,
He was on
I was
his way
like,
down.
"Can you unstun? You're not exactly,
He's a big man. He
not
is so
exactly very
tall
tall.
and so,
He was probably like 275 at the time." I'm
and he's as
like,
tall as you are. I mean,
"Yeah, he's
he's a
pretty
big guy.
well. He's not as tall as I am. He's probably a couple inches shorter, but
No, it wasn't Mary King's Close, Lori. It was down when we were in the Banshee Labyrinth.
yeah,
The underground tunnels. We were in the underground tunnels.
yeah."
But that was something that, when we went into the underground, both in Mary King's Close and when we were in those tunnels, I was so impressed with how the Scots lived underground so often because they were bombarded all the time, kind of like what's going to be happening, in New England if this keeps up. But it's just so interesting because there were so many weird things and weird, but that's also, why the plague was so prevalent and the various plagues, smallpox and pneumonias and real stuff.
Do you know who actually was one of the major contributors to killing the Black Plague?
Who?
Nostradamus. A lot of
I
people don't
had
know
not
that.
known that.
Yeah, Nostradamus was one of the people that actually came up with, a clue of what was happening and then how to get rid of it. And yeah,
Really?
he never gets any credit for that. By the way, he and I had the same birthday. Also, not the same year.
Well, I was going to say you look very good for that. So,
Yeah, he was born in the 1500s, but yeah.
Well, when you started getting ready to write another book, this isn't paranormal. The
Well,
next one out.
there's
The first one that's going to come is not
well,
paranormal.
the first one's going to come is going to be the next paranormal one.
Oh,
Yeah, because I really want those two stories about what that was to come out real quick because they're just too good not to be.
that's true.
Yeah. And the problem with the other one is that I've got all kinds of information, but I have to go over everything to make sure there's not anybody's toes I'd be stepping on with all these stories. Because what the next book is, it's I don't know what it's going to be called, but it's when I have it listed on here where I put everything, it's called The Badass Women of the World.
Yeah.
And women for so long, everybody thinks they were just these little delicate flowers, but I mean, there were some real badass women. I mean, I'll give you one, for instance, Boudica. She was in Ireland, I believe it was, and they had a small kingdom, and Rome decided they would just take their kingdom, came into her place, killed her husband, raped her two daughters who were like under 11 in front of everybody, and beat the hell out of her and locked her up. Well, when she got loose, she went out and raised an army. And by the time she was done getting revenge, you don't do that to your daughters, your little girls. No. But in fact, they killed her husband too. So she's not a very happy woman. But she raises an army and she goes out there and she kills 70,000 Roman soldiers. Right?
Not easy to do on a good day.
No, and actually totally leveled to Londinium, which wasn't London. It was another city named Londinium. And another one, and she just flattened both of them. Boom, just totally destroyed both cities. Unfortunately for her, she had gumption. Let's put it that way. I was going to say a different word. It was anatomy wise, but made of steel. I mean, she wanted revenge, and I mean, she was out to get him. But what happened was she wasn't up on all the trickery and deceit that the Roman soldiers were. So what they did is they had a group of them where they saw them and they all took off, down into this valley. And her and her group, she had a big group. I think they said she had about 70,000 people at the end of the time. And they all went charging down into this valley. And all of the Roman archers were up on the top and just started shooting down into the valleys and took them all out. So, they didn't actually go face to face. They just started shooting from up there.
That's
So,
cheating.
but I mean, it's like women like that. And, it doesn't take much for people to catch on. I mean, what is the thing everybody says you never mess with? A mama grizzly.
Yeah.
They never say a daddy grizzly. It's a mama grizzly, right? And who does all the fighting and hunting for food among the lions? The females, right? So I mean, even in the animal world, the women are more vicious than you think.
That's true.
So, but there's so many things. Like, for one, Hedy Lamarr, beautiful girl,
brilliant,
world famous actress. She invented Wi-Fi. And she invented it during World War II to be able to pass messages that the Germans couldn't catch on to. So, and then she patented it and she gave it away to the government. You know how much money that woman would have been worth?
Yeah.
But
she was one of those rare things, a patriot.
Yeah, and she wasn't an American.
Nope.
She did it anyway. But there's so many stories like that. I mean, I got about 100 stories like that. But the problem is,
I keep sending them to you too. Sorry, should I stop?
No.
Okay.
Send it to me.
That could be put too.
Yeah, but there's just so many like that are just, there's a whole bunch, and a lot of people don't know this. There were a whole bunch of very bloodthirsty women pirates. I mean, that were just, they'd just throw you out in the water, let the sharks eat you. And I mean, they were just.
Well, they catch you first to get their attention.
Or just throw them right on top of the shark. Boom. That'll get their attention. But I mean, there's so many super famous women. There's something I have on video. It's from 1928, I think. And they have these barnstormers with the airplanes, the biplanes. And one of the biplanes was up and its landing front nose cone fell off. I think I sent this to you. And they flew up next to her, and this girl's standing on the wing with a tire. She gets off, climbs underneath to the other plane, puts the tire on, and then gets up there and stands on the biplane wing for it to go down and land. I'm like, holy crap.
Girl's got to do what a girl's got to do, man.
Once again, anatomy of steel. Let's put it that way. I mean, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, Marie Curie. I mean, they always say, well, she invented it. Yeah, she also died of radiation poisoning.
Yes, she did.
But yeah, there's so many people. A lot of people didn't know. Everybody knows this is Sparta, right?
Yeah.
What they seem to forget is that the Spartan women were known to fight right up at the front battles with the men. So, there's a lot of stories about the women actually fighting in the wars. And
you are Spartan, so that hits home.
Yeah. Well, there's other ones that I've come across where they're the very first topless duel between two women of sophistication. They called each other out, and one of the things was you had to take all your refinery off so they could tell that there was nothing there, no metal plates or anything to protect you. And these two women went out and went stab city. So
that seems extreme.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of stuff like that. There's one of a girl named Mary Ann. I can't remember. I think she was in Germany. And this guy raped and killed, I think her daughter was 8. And he was one of these real smug, smiling jerk-offs. And she's in court, and he's up there, and he turns around, he smiles and laughs at her, and she goes, emptied the gun into him. So mom wasn't happy. So,
Well, sometimes you just have to take care of business.
well, you know what? The reason I wanted to do this is I keep seeing all these memes. Oh, you can do it. You can do it. You can quit babying the women. The women are just as strong and as anybody else. Just turn them loose and get out of the way.
Well, that's pretty much true. As any person that's, made the wrong decision in dealing with theirs would know. But we are getting low on time, and we have a really good question for you.
Let her rip.
Well, you travel, and you have traveled so much. And let me find the actual question. Let's see. Well, it's going to take me. Oh, there it is. So she says, I know Rick is a world traveler. What takes you to the next place?
Something that catches my interest. If there's a story or a location that just seems to be way above the others, that's where I'm going to want to go. I keep going back to Scotland because I really do believe that I'm buried there from another life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have such a connection there. There's got to be something going on.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of places I want to go to. I mean, if I could go to the Tower of London and ghost hunt that, I'd be there in a minute. There actually happens to be one right down the street from me here. It's probably 5 miles away, and it's Wonderland. And they did the movie about Wonderland.
Yes.
And the location's right up there. And I would love to go in there because, what was it, 5 people got beat to death with iron pipes? If there's any residual energy anywhere, it's in there, right? It's, as far as I know, it hasn't ever been ghost hunted. So I'd love to get up to Wonderland. But just anything that would really interest me. I mean, I've been to a lot of places. I mean, I've been to Australia and ghost hunted. I ghost hunted in Puerto Rico, the Bahamas, Switzerland, England, Ireland, Scotland. Canada. I mean, I've been around. So I mean, I go places, and if I can afford it, I try and get out there. So the real question is, where are you going next?
Yes.
So I'm still trying to figure out. I mean, of course, I'm going to go to Scotland and Ireland.
You're going to Ireland.
Yeah.
You're going to Ireland at the end of next year in September.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go to Scotland before that.
Yeah.
I think I'll go for a couple of weeks and go over there and terrorize the countryside. But there's a bunch of places. I may go back to England. England is very haunted.
Well, yeah.
I went to one place that was just off the charts haunted.
What was it?
Actually, one guy, he just went down and went out. And I mean, I was performing, stuff to get him back functioning and everything else. So it was pretty interesting. And then he said something. We finally get him back to the car park. He's back. He's up again. He goes, well, let's go back. And I looked at him. I said, if you think you're going to go back, I'm going to knock your ass out and stick you in the boot because we're not going through that again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was. I have wandered lots. Let's just put it that way. I mean, I'll be going back to Tombstone. If anybody wants to come down and hang out with me for a day, I'll be going to Tombstone. I think I'm going to go over to some other places like Jerome in Arizona. There's just other places for me to go hunt. I did have somebody that was going to go with me to a couple of these places, but I changed my mind.
Yeah.
Because she wouldn't let me play with her dog.
And that will do it for you.
Yeah, that's enough. That's all I needed to keep me from playing with my little buddy. So,
yeah.
But yeah, just if something really catches my interest, I got to go check it out.
Well, that's what we do.
Well, if anybody out there has a really good location, let me know.
And if you have any really good locations in the Southeast, reach out about that too, because just about anywhere is worthy.
Do I know a ghost hunter in the Southeast? I think so.
You might. It's a possibility.
And your henchman with the big red suitcase.
My henchman with the big red suitcase is going to be making her way south in a couple of weeks. So we're going to do some investigating while she's down. So that's going to be fun.
Well, there's a lot of stuff down there. I got invited the other day to go up to David Owen's house.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I just didn't have it in me. I was like, I'm too pooped.
I think that I would probably, I love David Owen, but I would probably pass because I think that it's about time to let those spirits rest.
Well,
So,
maybe the spirits like having people around.
well, you just never know. But what you feel is how you deal with those.
Yeah, if you feel
I
like
don't
you're
feel like it would be good for me to go.
yeah, if you feel like you're interrupting, then doesn't sound like something you should do. Sounds like you just got a cohort to go ghost hunting with.
I do have a cohort that's ready to go ghost hunting. She wants to go to Scotland.
Well, come on.
But I've been sending her stuff about Scotland, but I've also, because I'm going to Ireland too.
She should come to Ireland.
She is considering coming to Ireland.
I mean,
she's an engaged person now, so
she's got you and your bodyguard with the big suitcase. She's got me and Mikey, I think, is going to come. Mikey and Julie. So
she'll be safe. She and Will both want to come, so that'll be fun.
My cousin Sherry and her son are coming.
And Gina and Stephanie. We have a whole crew.
Yeah, Gina and Stephanie. Now, by the way, if you're looking for a good place to go, Mysterious Island Adventures, I believe it's called.
No, Mysterious Adventures will kill you and leave you on the side of the road. You want to go with Secret Ireland Tours.
She's going to fire me pretty soon for getting it wrong.
Secret Ireland Tours. And May Hernan is the person that is coordinating that. And there is your QR code. Just scan that baby. Center it. There you go. And you can get the information on it. You can sign up. You can do all the things. And if you don't have time to get this right now, you can look at the replay that's going to be up on all social media soon. And there is the logo for Secret Ireland Tours. And I'm going to tell you, this company has been in business for years. This company is ethical and moral and will not leave you on the side of the road by yourself in a foreign country. So that's who you want to go with. Yeah. Now, and there is a history behind that. And I do stand by that statement. So, yes, when you need a night, they show up.
You kind of hope for a bigger one than that, but
I had a bigger one. I had 2 bigger ones, 3 really. So it all worked out. So anyway, that being said, come to Ireland with us. You're going to have so much fun if you go. And, thank you so much for being here. And we're all going to learn a little bit more about these drones in the coming days. So hopefully we'll not see the demise of our fellow countrymen in the process. But anyway, thanks for being here. Rick, thank you so much. I love our conversations. You're just such a good guest.
Well, what you ought to do is you ought to just tape us when we talk during the day. Of course, there'd be a lot of bleeps, but
be a lot of bleeping. I don't know if I have time for all that bleeping. So, but thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate that.
And I'm an attention whore. I would show up.
And you're a good guest with a lot of information, so that makes it worth it.
It's very strange, the fact that I'm talking to you and my thing has been unplugged the whole time. My speaker.
Well, and I haven't really ascertained a difference. So
yes, I guess I can put this back in the old drawer and not worry about bringing it out anymore.
And so now we know this is the real Rick McCullum voice.
And now we know.
And now we know. Thank you, everyone, for supporting the show, for supporting me and my guests. And be sure you check out fatemag.com because we've got new editions, we've got new merch, we've got trading cards. If you see me, ask me for some because I have them with me most of the time. Take care, be blessed. And if I don't see you again before, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, and just be blessed. Thank you so much for your support and for being here with us. Good night.
Thank you, Kat Hobson.
Thank you, Rick McCullum.
See ya.
See ya.
The